Your level of discipline will define your destiny. The result of what you live today is the direct fruit of the level of discipline that you cultivate in life. When we understand that our discipline has defined our reality today and will define our future tomorrow, we can direct our self-control to change our lives. 90% of success in anything is just discipline. We spent years in school, but, unfortunately, we learned almost nothing about it. And today we are going to talk about 8 Stoic lessons to help you build a strong self-discipline and emotional control. 1. The battle against pleasure. Your body is stupid. You must save it from yourself. Many times, our mind and our body need to be rescued from their own traps. Your body wants to eat until it is satisfied, but it ends up exaggerating, stuffing itself with food and going far beyond what is necessary. Your body wants to drink until it is happy, but when we wake up, we don't even know or remember how we got home. Your body wants to relax a little before work, but when we realize less, we end up procrastinating for hours again. Your mind has natural curiosity, but when we dive into an excessive amount of mental stimuli at once, we go beyond the healthy limits of our mental processing, leading to anxiety and stress. Your mind wants to experience immediate satisfaction when shopping, but you often spend more than you earn, going beyond all your financial limits, buying a lot more than you really need. Your body, your mind wants now and makes you believe that you can deal with the consequences later, and worse, that they are not harmful, minimizing their impact on our lives. We have to be smart and prevent this before it happens. If you feel bad later, if you are hungover, and, when you wake up, you are full of regret and shame, the next morning, will the initial satisfaction really pay off? If you feel self-confident after procrastinating, if you are financially lost, sinking into shares and debts, if your mind feels tired and overloaded, was it really so good to give up? Don't just think about the pleasure you will have. Think about what it will take from you. Think about how you will feel later, when your self-confidence and self-esteem are shaken, or when you look in the mirror, wondering how this whole situation happened. Self-discipline is not a restriction. It is not about depriving yourself of excess, because it is considered a sin or morally wrong, but a measure to avoid a life full of unnecessary suffering and negative consequences that we create for ourselves, when we give into each impulse relentlessly in desire, without any kind of restriction and criterion. Choosing self-control is not creating our own personal hell in the present. It is important to understand that abstinence and restriction are not the same thing. Abstinence means avoiding something completely, while restriction seeks moderation, a Stoic virtue. It is about knowing how to approach things in a balanced and appropriate way, based on our bodies. Being disciplined does not mean depriving us, or giving up happiness, but acting responsibly, understanding our own limits. It is knowing when to stop before things get out of control, how to leave the table before eating too much, or enjoying a drink instead of wanting to drink all the cans of the party. It consists of being aware of the 30-minute break or in the planned time, and not for hours in a row. Making purchases within your budget, and learning to spend less than you earn, living within your own possibilities. Discipline is not a punishment, but a way to avoid negative consequences. It is a high-value expression, and prioritizes the mind over the body, avoiding distractions and temporary pleasures. According to Stoicism, reason must prevail over its impulses and emotional triggers. Thus, controlling your mind, choosing reason, you transform your actions and your destiny. But before we continue, it is very important that you help us to continue producing more videos like this. So I ask you to leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notifications. It's a simple thing, but it makes a lot of difference to us. Now let's move on. 2. Organize your world. Give order to discipline. True discipline begins with respect to our organization in different aspects of our life. It is not just a matter of time management or how we use our energy, but it is also in deep connection with order. A practice based on Stoic philosophy. Visualize the difficulty of maintaining discipline when our workplace is a chaos, the house is disorganized, with clothes scattered all over the place, in a sink with a 3-day dish, or our belongings seem to have their own life. The organization, despite its apparent simplicity, plays a crucial role in our ability to maintain mental clarity and cultivate daily discipline. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of starting with a meticulous order in small things, establishing a solid base to face more complex challenges. If you can't organize yourself and manage simple tasks from your day-to-day, how will you be able to deal with bigger challenges? Organization is more than a matter of external appearance, it is an expression of our inner discipline. By applying the Stoic principles, we incorporate discipline, not just as an external practice, but as a true internal transformation. You can only change your environment when you first change your internal values, and the basis for a solid discipline begins with the careful organization of our environment. Turning chaos into order, under the guidance of Stoicism, becomes a journey where mental clarity reigns, determination thrives, and true discipline happens. 3. Exposure therapy. Seneca was a very rich man, received a remarkable inheritance from his father, and in addition, he built his own fortune, becoming one of the richest and most influential men in the entire Roman Empire. Despite all his comfort and money, Seneca did a kind of exposure therapy, a training for adversities, choosing to live in discomfort and in a simple way. For 3 or 4 days a month, he wore rustic and rough clothes, slept on the floor, and fed only with dry bread and water. He gave up all the comfort that money gives him, ensuring that his training was true, and his discomfort experiences were genuine and serious. He advised Lucilio and other friends to do the same, to start volunteering temporarily for the difficulties. Why did Seneca do this? What was the goal behind these actions? Seneca wanted to prove to himself that enduring such challenges was not only possible, but a reality for many citizens of Rome. When facing voluntary difficulties, Seneca faced his own fears, asking himself, "Is this what you fear?" Fear ceased to be an anxiety only in your mind, to become a reality with which you learn to deal. This practice helped him build perspective and resilience, crucial skills to face adversity, and even saved his life when confronted with the instability of Emperor Nero. Seneca offered all his wealth for his freedom, shocking Nero, who could not believe that someone would give up everything. Seneca always said he had the money, but he never had it, keeping an emotional and psychological distance in relation to wealth and its benefits. He did not deposit his value, his happiness, or emotional well-being in these material elements. Contrary to Seneca's Stoic approach, many of us avoid discomfort. We prefer the easy way. We believe that success means never facing difficulties. In this way, we begin to reject challenges and run towards the comforts of life. We always have what we want, at the time we want, acting like spoiled children. Why make an effort at work if someone will always assume this responsibility? Why make an effort on a diet or at the gym if I can justify my weight by genetics or my age? Why learn to control my emotions when I can blame my genius or my sign? Why walk when we can drive? We do not realize how much this mentality makes us dependent, spoiled, and able to complain. This spoils us and creates perfect conditions for failure and frustration. It also makes us fearful. We get addicted to our comforts, and then we fear to lose them. Seneca tells the story of a Roman man in love with luxury, who never deprived himself of anything, and in the first shadow of difficulty, succumbed to despair. Epictetus, who spent any amount to get the most refined food in the world. After spending 100 million Roman sesterces, an astronomical amount, with the addiction to elegant dinners, he discovered that he only had 10 million left. 1011, afraid of dying poor and without his extravagant meals, Epictetus killed himself. We can challenge ourselves, as a Stoic, with voluntary difficulties, and improve our discipline. Or we can despair, like Epictetus. Some people value discomfort, challenge themselves, going beyond their limits, whether physical, mental, or emotional. Facing pain strengthens us and makes us less cowardly in the face of challenges. Self-discipline begins when we expose ourselves to challenges, because life will inevitably bring severe discomfort. We must be prepared. Those who face difficult times and accept change are more resistant and difficult to defeat in the last analysis. Happier. Moderation during good times is crucial, because they do not last forever. Remembering that difficult times create strong men and women, while easy times generate weakened men and women. 4. Stop being a slave. Dwight Eisenhower achieved great feats in his life. He fought in World War II, defeated the Nazis, occupied Germany, told his story in an autobiography, and made a great fortune. However, in 1949, Eisenhower faced a new challenge. Conquer yourself. He was addicted to smoking 3 to 4 packs of cigarettes a day for 38 years, and knew it was time to stop. Despite his impressive accomplishments, Eisenhower understood the importance of conquering himself. Anyone who has fought against some addiction knows how difficult it is to free yourself and not to have relapses. In 1949, he made a bold and liberating decision. Stop smoking. That day, stating that the only way to stop is to stop, and never touched a cigarette again. Eisenhower had an incredible willpower. It was a personal choice. He believed it was his duty to take care of his body and protect his health. He faced and dominated this inner demon. This added years to his life, keeping his body stronger and healthier, which allowed him to continue to add up in the world. After that, he led the NATO, and then took over the presidency of the United States at a challenging time. Today, we reflect on our own habits. We can become dependent on several things. We are surrounded by modern addictions, such as social networks, TikTok, Instagram, soda, caffeine, pot, video games, or even the unbridled consumption of fast food. It does not matter if these habits are considered acceptable or not. What really matters is whether they are truly good for us. Just as the habit of smoking harmed Eisenhower's health, our own habits can be undermining our happiness without us realizing it. Why allow these habits to continue to control our lives? Why should we receive orders from our body or from our habits? Why allow your emotions to respond first than your reason? Neither our body, nor our habits or our emotions should be the bosses. Just as slavery was an inefficient and cruel system, choosing to be a slave to our habits is a limitation that we can overcome. Do the test. If you knew today all the risks and consequences, would you still start these habits? Would you continue to allow them to dictate your lifestyle, knowing the negative impacts they caused you today? It is not because you made a wrong choice in the past that you always need to repeat it in your life. Your past does not need to dictate your future. You have the power to choose differently now. No matter how successful you are right now, sometimes we have to put our actions and our habits in front of us, as if they were troops in line, to know who is in command, truly. Who rules who? We need to distinguish whether we are the Lord's or we become slaves to our habits as we repeat them. It may be that there is some harmful habit in your life, a battle that you are facing now. The good news is that it is never too late to beat them. Take inspiration from the story of Eisenhower, who stopped smoking at the age of 58. What matters is not how long you had the habit, nor in moments of weakness, but in the decision made today, and how you choose to react from now on. Choose to stop now, get rid of these behaviors, and choose to stop being a slave. Cut the extras. Kate, the wise man, was known for his remarkable temperament. He adopted an uncomplicated and modest life, avoiding wearing expensive clothes, or spending extravagantly. Kate shared the same line as her servants, and often worked side by side with them in the fields. And his minimalist philosophy also extended to his home, living in a simple and modest house. He followed in the footsteps of his hero, Manio Curio, who was a politician, better known as a plebeian hero of the Roman Republic. Manio Curio was at the height of his power when some men tried to bribe him and found him in the kitchen, cooking nabos. His simple lifestyle made it clear that he was not attached to money, and his character and integrity could not be bought. Likewise, when Kate received valuable gifts or rewards for his political work, he refused them. Because, when we want more than we really need, we become vulnerable. This is a challenging lifestyle to be adopted, but it often turns out to be easier to live. With less worries, there are fewer disturbances to inner peace. No one has fun dealing with believers at the door, or being a slave to a luxurious lifestyle that demands more and more every day. When we think about discipline and how to eliminate the superfluous, we think about just cutting or reducing additional tasks or distractions to become more productive. However, the practice of Stoicism challenges us to think outside the box and begin to see all aspects of our life. In our world, we are often confronted with temptations and pressures to accumulate and possess more and more. We live in the age of suggestibility, where ads and social influences often make us believe that we need certain things to find happiness. As Seneca observed, how many things we acquire just because other people bought them, and because they are in many houses. Many of our problems are explained by copying the example of others. Instead of following reason, we are deviated from the path by convention. If only a few people do something, we will not imitate them. But when the majority starts to act in a certain way, we follow as if something was more honorable just because it is more frequent. In the days of Seneca, there was no internet, but the patterns of behavior were guided by the same logic, for a simple reason. Human nature has not changed, remains unchanged. Therefore, it is crucial to develop the discipline as an alicerce to build your own value, without depositing or conditioning your merit to external factors. 6. Decreases to advance Indiana. Ancient Rome, emperors established succession strategies, adopting talented young people and choosing their own heirs. This is how Marcus Aurelius became emperor, being chosen by Emperor Adrian, and also that Octavian became the heir to Julius Caesar at the age of 18. A year later, Octavian made the promise to the leaders of Rome at the Forum to reach the same heights that his adoptive father. Despite his ambitious plans, Octavian was in no hurry. Instead, he adopted a slow and cautious approach, absorbing lessons from his Stoic mentors. Octavian co-governed with Marcus Aurelius for a decade, and then led the Senate for almost 5 years, before finally becoming Augustus Caesar in 27 BC. His growth and rise to power was gradual and intentional. When Octavian took control of Rome, he transformed the city of bricks into a great empire of marble. This transformation did not happen overnight. It took time and dedication to the little details. Octavian's leadership teaches us about the value of constancy and discipline, and the importance of doing things correctly. Sometimes, we believe that motivation has more value than discipline. In fact, when we are motivated, whether by watching an inspiring movie, reading an exciting book, or listening to a podcast, we get excited, and that drives us to act immediately. That moment when you want to drink 3 liters of water, that you want to enroll in the academy, that you decide to read a book a week, that you will learn to speak English, that you will learn to invest and buy shares, that you feel totally motivated. However, when the motivation ends, we return to our real and authentic state. In these moments, it is the construction of our discipline that makes all the difference. Discipline is not just an incessant race towards a specific goal, but rather the impulse that makes us get up, even when we do not feel like it, to do what needs to be done. It is the alicerce that keeps us moving forward, even if gradually, persisting at work. Even when the motivation has already gone. Discipline is the solid support that sustains us when external influences are no longer present. In Stoic philosophy, the lesson of Othavio invites us to adopt a constant rhythm, understanding that the true grandeur arises from our commitment and our attention to detail. Thus, in a similar way, slow down, embrace the journey and prosper with wisdom. 7 and last. Hard life is the best life. Imagine, every day, having a morning coffee at the resort. This was the lifestyle, without limits, of King George IV, known for his love of food. Over time, he gained so much weight that he was afraid of dying suffocated while lying down. Even the simple task of signing documents became a sacrifice, and he had a stamp made for his signature, avoiding excessive efforts. Despite his real obligations, King George neglected important duties and had several children out of marriage. He seemed to believe that he was above the rules of health and mortality, living as if his body were to bear unlimited abuses, without any kind of consequences. However, this careless life had its consequences. On a summer night in 1830, at 3:30 in the morning, he faced death. Surprised to realize that he was dying, he grabbed the hand of a young servant and said, "My boy, this is death," as if he were shocked to discover that his bad habits finally led him to death. Now, if we compare this self-destructive lifestyle with the inspiring example of the American President Theodore Roosevelt, we will realize how our daily choices are cumulative throughout our lives. Facing health adversities from a young age, Roosevelt chose a different path, embracing difficult life and making physical activity a priority. He practiced various activities such as rowing, boxing, wrestling, walking, and football. He maintained an active lifestyle even when he held the presidency of the United States. When you wake up in the morning, who do you think felt better? The lazy King George or Roosevelt, the defender of active and challenging life? The example of Roosevelt is an example of being active and embracing challenges can lead to great achievements. We are destined for more than simple existence and seek pleasure. Our nature is much greater than that. Think of great men who built everything we use today: technology, electricity, communication, the internet, all our means of transport. Nature gave each of us incredible gifts and gifts. We are incredibly evolved beings at the top of the food chain. What will you do with your skills? There are things that only you are able to add up in the world. No one else will be able to do it in your place. Today, do you want to be a sum factor, or will you waste your talents? Being a sum factor means making the world better by your presence and by what you have to offer. Taking care of our body is as essential as taking care of our minds. To be excellent and productive members of society, we need to take care of our bodies. Marco Aurelio recognized the deep connection between mind and body, emphasizing the importance of keeping both. This is not limited to gym or muscle training, but also about what we eat and avoid harmful substances. Our bodies are like high-performance racing cars, and we need to supply them properly. Although life is full of challenges and difficult situations that we have no control over, it is under our control to start improving ourselves. Choose some physical activity, choose some kind of movement, and just start. Self-discipline is not a denial of pleasure. Pleasure is the reward for our efforts. Taking care of our bodies, controlling our desires, working hard and exercising is not a punishment. It is the way we gain pleasure and achieve greatness. There is not only maturity and prosperity. While the Spartans were known for their courage and unwavering strength, a quality often forgotten was their mastery of self-discipline, especially when it came to speaking. They had the unique ability to use a few words to cause a monumental impact. Faced with threats from powerful enemies, the Spartans responded with short and powerful words, showing a resilience that was not affected by fear. When confronted with the information that the arrows of Xerxes would block the sun, Leonidas replied with simplicity, "Then we will fight the shadow." When another conqueror threatened to massacre all Spartan soldiers who broke the walls, the Spartan simply responded with a word. The Spartans never used two words when one was enough. Always avoided verbal excesses, also did not enter unnecessary discussions, and never shared too much. The crucial lesson here is that speaking less is more powerful than speaking excessively. Despite having the power and authority to speak at will, the Spartans chose silence. They did not feel the need to affirm or prove their value or intelligence by speaking constantly or engaging in meaningless discussions. There is nothing more boring than in the area of coexistence of work, in family meetings, or among friends, a person who is a speaker, that is, someone who wants to speak without respecting the space of others, but mainly, who speaks without stopping, without anyone being interested in listening. Having discipline to resist the temptation to speak and speak without stopping each thought or expressing opinions at all times is a valuable skill, where the wisdom of the Spartans remains relevant. Zenon reminded all his students that we have 2 ears and a mouth, and therefore we must respect the proportion and discipline ourselves to hear more than we speak. And if you got here, comment, gratitude. Also take the opportunity to share this video with a friend. Help us bring this mental clarity to more people. Thank you for your time, and have a great day.